Greetings, everyone. We have so much to share, and we'll try to be brief. There are portals on this planet, natural portals. There are many things that humans have not integrated into their environment, into their social complex, due to low consciousness shenanigans. There are portals where you can open, or that opens naturally on the planet, where different energies, sometimes entities, can pass through walls, or different realms, different dimensions. And most biological instruments have the ability, some biological instruments have the ability to create portals and go to a different dimension, even in this, within this, beyond visible light, beyond this visible light spectrum. Now, what? Let's break down what visible light spectrum is. Imagine a radio, and you're tuning it between the band of frequency that the radio transmitter has. Imagine it's just short, as it has a short bandwidth. That's what humans are experiencing as their physical reality, a very short bandwidth of free. So imagine you have the radio tuning, you tune it this way, you tune it that way. That's about the extension of the band of that station. Now, that's the visible light spectrum that humans are operating from the electromagnetic spectrum of their reality, because you're the one manifesting your reality. Now, these portals are part of your energy signature, you're part of your frequency. You can get to a point where you vibrate outside that visible light spectrum, and you will literally disappear. And it seems strange because of what Western education has programmed most of humanity into, not understanding that there was a system in the ancient world which even made them more intelligent, more advanced, in the sense that their technology was more about how they move their generation or their civilization forward. Now the thing is, Africans have these ideas, but it became perverted. If you notice, the Asians, Indians, Hindu, people in China, some people in China are actually working with the chi energy, the frequency calibrator. They know these things, and they use it to create their reality, taking advantage of the energy that is available to each and every human on this planet. So what we want to reintroduce or teach humans, modern day humans, is the nature of consciousness. And within that explanation that we have given, you can use that as a navigator to understand what we're going to present next. Now, these portals are already happening, and if you vibrate outside the visible light spectrum, you will literally disappear from this physical 3D reality. That's why there's an ancient saying that says, build a garden and the butterflies will come. If you noticed, when you put sugar, sugar somewhere, just put sugar anywhere in your environment, if you notice, it wouldn't be long before ants start coming. Now, where did the ants come from? Trace always wondered about this since he was little, and he figured that he's believed that there must be a portal where ants come from to into this physical reality, because suddenly there's no ant anywhere, but once you put sugar, there it goes, there's ant everywhere. Same applies with feces, same applies with frequency, same applies with even like the carcass, like dead animal. If an animal dies, inside the animal will maggots start coming out from. So when there's an environment that entertains a certain frequency, a certain low vibration, this it either evolve, ascend, expand, or it disintegrate, or it becomes dirty, because there has to be a recycle system, some kind of symbiosis, some ecosystem within all aspect of matter. And humans not understanding this aspect of matter, all the humans have been focusing on is money, get the bag, get the bag. People are not understanding the nature of their environment to better navigate, to actually experience reality, to the optimum frequency, the optimum spectrum, really enjoy your experience, and not being limited to this eat, work, play, sleep, suppress your trauma cycle over and over and over and over again. Now you have those who, taking advantage of this fear that humans have, and they've created a system whereby it almost seems like they have to sacrifice someone to then further the low vibration negative energy that they are harnessing and sucking the light out of people. Then they push these energies in front of the public screen into the public domain, and people create this emotional reaction towards it, whatever is anger, hate, violence, whatever it is. These energies that you're emitting keeps you on the lower band frequency within that visible light spectrum, which also constitutes with your level of awareness, which also constitutes with the feeling, the frequency, the feeling body. We always tell people that you don't understand. There is a frequency. We have no word for it. There's a frequency. There's a way I feel right now that most humans are not feeling. This frequency is a state of being. It's pristine. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's your recognition of who you are as a divine sovereign entity. But until you don't feel that, you really, with it's a dark place that humans are in, and they've become so comfortable in it because they're not aware of the higher. And this is why we're here, like, presenting these things to people. You need to start looking at it from a different perspective. Like, you did not know the world around you. Most people don't know anything about epigenetics, and that's like the behavior of genes, and that's why they carry this trauma. Now, how can't you carry this trauma when your great grandfather perhaps was fighting in the war, was either oppressed, and those negative emotions have nowhere to go? That's the thing about the universe. It's all about inclusion. You cannot get rid of separation, because if you introduce separation, that's included inside. And this is what humans are experiencing. They created a duality for themselves, and now they have gotten lost in it, thinking that that's the only way to experience reality. And this cycle continues. Meanwhile, Africans are not aware of all this reality and all this assets that's available to them, that's in their heritage, knowing that you are like the original blueprint. And that's not all Africans, but most Africans have this thing, but they're not aware of it. They're busy following this Western civilization story. They gave you guys a story after conquering you, and back then, those who conquer their enemies, change the history. So when they conquer any land, they change the history in that environment, and that's what they've created for people now. Now, what we're suggested is that we should start creating an environment that welcomes love, an environment that welcomes peace, harmony, and all these beautiful higher density energies. And once we do this, we'll be able to, generate peace, generate love. These things have to be created. You humans keep going on the cycle where someone dies, they send thoughts and prayers, and the next thing a hashtag goes in, and the next thing is all the money. People, you need to follow the money when there's any disaster. You start knowing that these things are planned, and next thing, everyone is now throwing money to support the tragedy that just happened. Either like they're trying to subsidize it or they're trying to reparate it, but they're just trying to use money to make it better. But what they're not understanding, that what they're experiencing is the consequences of a different situation, and that situation is the consequences of what the problem is, and the problem is fear. Now, if we have to get rid of fear, get rid of that frequency, get rid of that low energy vibration, we'll create an environment where beautiful energies can come in. We'll create an environment where love can come in, where butterflies can come in. We have to create the garden and let the butterflies come in. But humans have these attachments to the familiar omen, this spirit, this negative. Think about a virus, but it's in the metaphysical realm, and this thing attaches onto humans and it sucks the light off of them, but humans are not even aware of what this light is. And this is what we have to start introducing to humans, because once you know what has been done to you, you create a way to solve it just like that. You create like a disinfectant and it'll go away. That's why this metaphysical parasite do not want people to hear the idea or the concept that they are possessed, or which is a different word. A simpler term to explain it, but it's more complex than that, because the majority are possessed by this metaphysical parasite. And whatever you see in your media will not tell you this. Even the religion won't tell you this. They tell you to, look at what Paul did there. Oh, come here, look at what Jesus did here. Oh, look at it. But no one is saying the problem. Humans are not supposed to behave in the way they're behaving. Humans are not supposed to, coexist with fear. Fear is an illusion, and that's not something that, you're built with. You created that frequency. Now we need to get humans away from that frequency band. Just a tiny frequency there, where humans are doing all these low consciousness shenanigans. We need to move them to a broader state of frequency where humans can vibrate to a higher point of density, where they can, enter into hyperspace and manifest, teleport and, control their reality with their mind, with their consciousness, because they are fourth aspect of matter. You have the physical matter, you have the gas aspect, you have the liquid aspect, then you have the plasma aspect, and that is an aspect of this reality that humans are not aware of, and they're even not aware of magnets yet. So there's so much we have to cover, and this will only happen once people start, supporting this and donating. And this is where we'll, end this end this conversation now. So you know see things for yourself and see how you can support this movement, because until we expand the consciousness of the population, things are not really going to change, because all the things are the consequences, the result of low consciousness. Everything, fear, anger, violence, all the stuff are the result of a human that is acting under the influence of a metaphysical parasite that is possessed, in other words, you see. The world is designed to be somewhere you feel good always. Then you can do whatever you want to do, but you feel good knowing that you're connected to source. You have to walk with that remembrance, that frequency. It's divine. It's beyond. We always speak about 5D, but humans are not aware that once you get to 5D and you stop counting, then at that point it depends on what you can handle. So there's enough for everyone. There really is. And most people are not aware about what they can do with their body or what the body is capable of the nature of their consciousness. When you understand that, you know that everything is beautiful and it was designed that way. The only reason why there's a friction is because humans are creating the friction. You see, what happens is once there's a negative thing that occurs, that's where all humans' attention go to. If something bad happened, everybody's bringing out their money to reparate that bad thing. But no one is coming out to bring out their money to support love, just out of the blues. Just bring out funding and fund those who are generating love and teaching light. You can start with Trace. Really, like just randomly imagine if everyone just come together and starts supporting people who are emitting love, and just randomly just put love sign everywhere. Just randomly invest $1 million to just make sure that you're promoting love till it choke the demon out of people. Just put love everywhere, because if you look at your reality, especially away from a higher perspective, which is easier for us to see and say, and that's why we're sharing this with you. If you look at your reality, say you go to a public place, you see the malls and you see the movies that are out, and you see the name of the movie, blood this, kill this, die this, then you check the news, oh racism, oh rape, oh violence, then you check all this whole stuff are being created because that's what humans react to. That's the thing that we get a reaction out of humans. If you're talking about love, talking about higher frequency, some of the things that we're sharing that's literally going to change the world and transform the world, whether you like it or not, because this younger generation are already, they're already on board. We're just trying to, keep this movement going with the cycle civilization. So we want everyone to really pay attention, and because it's a long, state of recalibration that humanity are about to go through. And we were started with Africans for the reasons that you can already see that human Africans have a long way to catch up from. So we want people to start seeing that this is the only way to get away from this lower density reality, because the planet is evolving and there will be an ice age in 10 years time. So we need to prepare for that. So which will also introduce new energy systems, because you cannot continue using the present energy systems when there's an ice age. If you're using hydroelectricity, it can get frozen off. So that's not something to depend on, and you don't want to imagine what an environment is going to be like if you didn't prepare for the winter. So let's start now. 10 years, 9 years is not far away. Africans have a long way to go. The program that we're introducing will take at least 7 years, whether you like it or not. By that seventh, but before the 7th year, you would have noticed that there are changes in your body already. What we're trying to get rid of is the metaphysical parasites, the possession in humans. Do not think of it in the way you think of it, but it can get that batshit crazy. However, it can be a clusterfuck if you let it. So we don't want to go down there, but there are those who want to, weaponize that and let humans go down there, create that war, and destroy themselves, which is what they've been doing all this year. They just put you guys against yourself, so you guys can create all that whole negative energy, and they can suck the light out of you. It's a high. Remember, it's a high. And now you have this divine high that you're not using, and that's what we're trying to recuperate so people get into 5D. If you've noticed that we've spoken about the fourth density, and then now we have introduced to you what fifth density is. It is a high, it's an amazing feeling. And once everyone gets to that frequency, or even close to that frequency, the world is going to be a different place. I guarantee you that. But it takes as long as humans want. If you want to wait years, you don't want to try this out, then you could wait for 10,000 years. But this is not what we're going to allow, because I did not leave light years and come to this planet to entertain humans' child's play. This is real business, and this is amazing. You all will be grateful that you went through the experience. But until you go through the experience, you will not know, understand what we're talking about. You have to experience it. It's not something someone is telling you what somebody did back in 4,000 years ago and what you shouldn't do because one God will get angry. Really, humans, think about it. How can someone create this whole environment and be jealous of what the instrument inside that environment, like, it's insane. Yet there are billions of people who believe in this. Don't tell them they're fools yet. Soon they'll realize this if they don't trace scotch any sooner. But we need to start creating this love environment. Imagine out of the random space, everyone just, are just all about love, or people just start supporting love, and, just give enough, funding to people who are, preaching and promoting love randomly, not even, famous people, just select people who are already doing that and see how the world will change. Not waiting for when there's a violence and everyone is trying to do that. Once to create an environment, it has to be all inclusive, that every one of us, everyone is feeling high. Once everyone is feeling high, there will be no one thinking to do. So listen, if you go through this training and go through this practice, within 3 months, you're already, within the course of this conversation, I pretty much you're thinking differently. Now let's get to a different tea, which will make you really digest into what we're trying to explain. Because it's be hard for you to understand from your state of consciousness. You need to understand this thing. It's not an insult, but your state of consciousness now can get higher. Let's just put it that way. Let's just put it out. That will be fair. Now understand from where we're coming from. Humans are still in black and white. Now, when you look at it, everyone is in black and white. But there comes someone in color who can see color, and like we've seen the color and we're like, oh shit, yo, we can actually turn this black and white environment to color, to like even colors you've not seen before. How do you tell those people that they exist color and they're in black and white when they're experiencing their reality from what they perceive as normal? So it's really something that's, it's kind of complex, but it can be done. And we believe because, obviously, like we've seen this, we've spoken from experience, and we can get everyone. Imagine that. Just imagine 1,000 people. Imagine 100 people who are in this frequency, in this high vibration, who understand this, and they are emitting this energy back to the universe, and the planet is taking it and bringing it back and making more abundance, and creating this energy, this field around you that anyone around you is feeling loved. Like no one can come put harm on you. Do you understand? Like anyone, before anyone gets close to you, they're so much in love with you, with everything. They just are in so much of like, imagine that it's like you hypnotize them to, be good when they're around you. In that sense, literally, because you influence their frequency by the oscillation of your consciousness. There's a field around every human. You cannot see it, and everyone is literally in everyone's energy anytime we're together, and that can create, a byproduct that we can harness and create this kind of dominoes effect, but in a good way. Everyone just, and like a wildfire, everyone is connected to the oneness that completes this frequency that we're speaking of. If everyone could just feel that for a moment, it would change everything. Literally, you would notice it in the Schumann resonance. These things are practical. So until people start doing this, until it becomes like a trendy, it already is. The light community is waking up. Most people are waking up now, and it's amazing. And this is why we're all here together. So let's have fun with it. Let's really do have fun with it. And this is the most important thing that you should be looking for. And here it is on the plethora of gold. But we have to begin. We need some support, and we need someone to like create some GoFunding and do your thing. But we need to start creating these centers where people can go through the treatment, where they remove the things that shouldn't be following them around. That way you just vibrate high and these things will fall from you. Diseases are low energy, energy. Like they're, if you're vibrating too high, you cannot catch any disease. Your frequency will be oscillating so fast that none of all this low vibrating energy, instrument can get into or attach to you. It's impossible. It's that energy that we're speaking of. Once everyone is vibrating in that love, in that harmonic, there are no words for it. That omnipresence, yes, omniscience, yes, like it completes everything because this it's the optimum frequency for your mind, body, spirit complex. The thing that's made up the human. The human is not just physical. You're made up of the physical that you can see, and that's a body. You're made up of the mental realm, and that's a body because your mind is transmitted outside your body, and you're made up of the emotional body. This connects with the soul aspect on your ethereal field, and this is what's made up. That's what humans are made up of, and humans are just stopped to the point where they're observing the reality, and they just saw the body, and they just stopped there, and they did not see anything else about the human, not understanding that most of the highest frequency and the energies of the human design is non-visible. We'll stop for here right now, and we hope you got the message. But there's more. There's so much more. Like, how do we tell people in black and white that they can be in color? It takes someone that is in color to come into that environment that's in black and white and paint everywhere color, and they will now see it. You need to like show it to them. Now, how do we open a portal where benevolent energies can come into, as opposed to vibrating so low that you have peasants and metaphysical parasites. These things are nothing. Like it's you're beyond this. You humans are so amazing. It's like it's humans are the most amazing thing in the universe since 200,000 years ago, and they don't know about it. For the past 130,000 years ago, this is the first time you're hearing anything this close. Now listen closely. We need to open a portal where beautiful benevolent energies can enter, but until we create it, this grid will not be able to transmit with that energy. Like Watson said, anything that is vibrating low cannot touch something that's vibrating high. You need to vibrate a little bit higher. So the principle of dominant frequency and dominant energy can pull the higher. What's more dominant? If we're vibrating a bit higher, the higher we take that node or that grade into it, like we the rest will be automatic, in other words, you see. So but we need to take that move first, and it takes one who can see the higher to really pass or transmit that information to the lower, in the sense that we are like an intermediary to the higher densities and the lower. And we believe that all humans can connect those two hemispheres, those two axial points together, where they're one aspect is in the divine and one aspect is in the mortal aspect. And so you have this heaven on earth experience. It's not like you just want to be all fully divine. You need to also enjoy your physical experience. Yes, yes, yes. So you need to be able to balance the left hemisphere of your brain with the right hemisphere of your brain to create that balance and awaken those aspects of your DNA that is already aware of all these things. It's just waiting for all these years, that just maybe someone who's in color will remind you about what color is like, and then maybe you might want to take the step to live life a colorful experience. We love you all. We love you all so much. There will be more. There's so much more. You probably have to listen to this over and over again. Thanks for your time. Namaste.